Hi, Nick Osborne here. I just want to share something about the power of stories. I've been writing about stories for a little while now, and as always I get a little bit of pushback, which is reasonable. So I've written a few lines here that kind of represent the general message I'm getting back when people do push back. Hey Nick, I love your enthusiasm for stories, but honestly I don't see how simply changing the story I tell can improve my future as a freelancer. All right, so I think that's a very reasonable question, a very reasonable piece of pushback, because there's something kind of counterintuitive, the idea of using a story to kind of change one's future, because the story is fiction, right? So what kind of power would a story actually have? Okay, so it's to address that question, what kind of power would a story really have, that I want to handle in this video. So I'm gonna play a game with you, a bit of an experiment. So I've got this superpower. Imagine I have this superpower where I can actually just reach out into your mind and pluck out memories. I'm going to find memories of stories that you have in your mind, all the stories that I can find. I'm just going to take them out and put them to one side, and we'll see what we're left with. So I'm going to start off from when you were just a little kid, very young, and when your mum and dad were reading you bedtime stories, you know, Jack and the Beanstalk, all that good stuff, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. If you live in different countries, different cultures, you'll have had different bedtime stories read to you, and these kind of represent a cultural backdrop, I guess, these stories. And also, it's probably very early on there that with these stories we begin to learn the fundamentals of good and bad and right and wrong and heroes and heroines and villains, goodies and baddies. It begins to sort of form our moral sense, gives us a moral compass, I guess. But sadly, we're going to remove all of those stories, all of them. Okay, so now you're going to get a little older. You're going to go to preschool, kindergarten, primary school. Your teacher's going to read you lots more stories, and we're going to remove those too. You're going to take those out. All the stories you share with friends. We're going to, the stories about your school, the sports, all that kind of stuff. We're going to remove those stories too. Then as you get a little older, you're going to get into high school, and you're going to go into, when you go to history class, of course, history is never quite a total objective recording of the facts. It's actually a compilation of stories about a nation's past. So history, everything to do with the history of the country you were raised in, we're going to remove those too, because those histories, they're all just stories. Sorry about that, but they really are. So we're going to remove that. So when you were a teenager, all the books you read, going to remove the memories of those stories. Movies, sorry, there are stories too. They have to go. Your favorite TV shows, we're going to remove the memories of those stories. The lyrics of your favorite songs when you're a teenager, early 20s, yeah, I'm afraid the lyrics that represent story, we're going to remove that too. And then when you get out into the workforce, all those stories that you share around the water cooler and the bar, the pub at the end of the day, they're going to go as well. And let's not forget family. When we get together with family at holidays, in the, over the dining room table, in the kitchen, in the garden, around the barbecue, whatever. What are the kind of defining activity of a family get together? It's the sharing and telling of stories. Do you remember when? Do you remember the time when Uncle Jack, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to remove all of those stories too. All right, so I could go on and on about this. I probably already have gone on and on about this. The point being is, if you use a little imagination and now try to think about who you would be, what you would be if I really had the power to remove all of those stories from your mind. You'd be lost. You would have no sense of who you were, or where you belonged, or where you fit in. You'd have no sense of, like, what nationality are you? What's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad? What is a family? It's like I'd have removed the kind of compass of your life from you. So yeah, stories are absolutely fundamental to our lives, how we live them, how we understand them. And they have huge impact on the choices we make and the futures we create for ourselves. People could have told you stories when you were 12 years old that still influence who you are today, and what kind of work you do today, and the kind of living you make today. Stories told have incredible influence over our future. So when people push back at me and say, hey Nick, the stories that I tell, how will this influence my future as a freelancer? I say, you know what, it can influence your future as a freelancer to a massive degree. Stories have deep, profound power. They're probably the most powerful force in our lives. So yes, if you change the stories that you listen to, that you accept, that you talk about, that you create about your future as a freelancer, if you start changing that story today, if you create a new story of you as a freelancer in the future, yes, that can have a massive, powerful impact. And that's why I'm focusing so much of my attention on the new story of you right now. Okay, I hope that wasn't too long, too much of a rant. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, bye.